evening, YouTube. Today it is Thursday, the 3rd of August. I've had a few days off from doing this work, and today was my first day back after last week, and I've really enjoyed today. I did miss doing this job over the last few days, so let me tell you about what I've done today. I'm recording this on a different phone than usual because my other phone is broken, so I'm hoping it turns out to be sound wise okay, and hopefully the video will be clear. It should be okay. Right, so I had a few days not working due to I suppose personal reasons I won't go into, but I suppose I can summarise them by saying I needed a few days off just to get my head straight in terms of I had lots to do and I was getting a bit overwhelmed about not getting it done, so I just thought I'd have a few days off just to kind of get all the admin stuff that was building up out of the way. There's quite a lot of stuff going on in my life at the moment outside of work, so I needed a few days just to kind of sort that out, and I feel a bit more in control now about what I'm calling the admin side of stuff. So I didn't have a job this morning. I was looking for work, but what I did have today is a planned pickup with my regular shipper, just one pickup from Shrewsbury and then dropping off at High Wycombe. So I had to get myself to Shrewsbury somehow. It could have been today, it could have been tomorrow, but I was hoping to do it today just to make up tomorrow a bit easier. And then a job came up this morning from Sleaford, which is about half an hour from where I live, going to Bristol. And I thought, oh, excellent, that's getting me in the right direction. I'll bid on that. I bid slightly lower than I would do usually, and let me tell you what I bid. I bid £175, 175. It was for a medium wheelbase job, and the actual number of miles on the system was 174 miles. Actually, no, so I did do it just over £1 a mile. I probably would have done a bit more than that if it was. Probably would have done something like 190, probably, if I was pushing it. But I wanted to get the job and get going. Yeah, so I got that job, and that was picking up from an engineering place, and just loaded up the van by hand. There wasn't no forklifting involved today, and then went on my merry way towards Bristol. I got offloaded at, let's double check, at just 1:40, so still quite early on the day. And then I was looking for jobs, and I think at this point I wanted to say something about the looking for jobs process that I just think about as I do it. And it's just a small point, and it's, I find that moment when you're waiting for the next alert to come on, or when you just put a bid on, that moment where you might get a job, really exciting, well, quite exciting, and it's like it's a piece of unknown future just about in my grasp. I put the bid on, and if I don't get it, the bid that comes on next time. So even if I end up not getting lots of bids over and over again, I still enjoy the process of bidding. I find it reasonably exciting, and it holds my interest. And it's like this alert that comes on next could be the perfect job. It could be the job that gets me somewhere I want to be, or gets me home. So even bidding and not winning jobs, I find that aspect of the job really interesting. good. And it's those little things that it's hard to explain to people who don't do the job why the job is so good. Now it might be that other people think that job is that bit's horrible, and I perfectly accept that not everyone has the same way of looking at it. But just for me, I do enjoy that aspect of the job, the bidding and the waiting for a job to come up, because anything can happen at that point. Anything can happen at all. So I was looking at jobs, and a job came up from. So when I dropped off at the place, I went for a bit of a walk to try and get my steps up, and then within about 5 minutes of me walking, a job came up going from Chepstow to Merthyr Tydfil, which isn't really going towards Shrewsbury, but it wasn't also going that far away from Shrewsbury either. So I thought, well, if I get this job, then it's a bit more money and it's keeping me in the area, so it's worth putting a bid on. And the bid I put on was for £65 for a 44-mile job. It was a single pallet for a small van. And I did put in the notes, because I don't know the area very well, that if I need to pay a toll to go across the Severn estuary, then I would need to add on more to my price. And I got a call back, and they said they'd read my notes, that's fine. And I didn't think they knew whether there was a toll or not, but this had happened with my suggestion. So I got the job, and I was 20 minutes away from the pickup, and it's about 11 miles, it might be 4 miles. No, I think no, it's 11 miles, I think. And so I made my way to Chepstow, across the bridge, or one of the bridges, into Wales, and there was no toll, so that was quite good. So I picked up from there and took, it was only a single pallet, 60 kilograms. It had to be forklift on, but I could move it about in my van. You know, it was not too heavy to move about in my van, so I strapped it down and then made my way to Merthyr. And I will slightly divert on something else today because it's relevant to me, not relevant to driving. And it's about my dietary issues. Because I've had a few days off, I've got out of the habit of restricting my calories to the amount that I want to restrict to. And so I found today that I got really hungry a lot quicker than I usually would do at work. So I did have my sandwiches, but I finished both sets of sandwiches by the time I got to Chepstow. And I had an apple, and I'd had breakfast this morning, and I'd run out of food, and I was quite hungry still. So I will disclose that I was weak, and I did decide to go to McDonald's, and I got myself not one, but 2 McFlurries, which I'm disappointed about, but it's true. And so I had that, and then I made as on my way from. So this is when I dropped off at Merthyr. I dropped off at Merthyr, and on the way up to Shrewsbury, I got my McDonald's, and I put my beef stew on to cook in my oven. So I then had that beef stew before I got to Shrewsbury to do my pickup for my other shipper. And I decided that when I dropped off at Merthyr, because the time at that point was about 3:30, I thought I'm not going to get anything from Merthyr going in the right direction, so I'll just head up, dead mile it to Shrewsbury, which is about 100 miles. It was about 2.5 hours. And I thought I'm not going to worry about getting a job up there, because otherwise I'll be here all day and I'll end up not getting anything. So my decision was I'll just make my way straight from Merthyr up to Shrewsbury through Wales, and then get my pickup done tonight. And I was looking for jobs, and I did bid on a couple of things, but it was all kind of going the wrong direction. I did actually have it when I was actually in Bristol, there was a job going from Bristol to Boston, a car job, and I thought, I did bid on it because I thought I'd just go back home tonight. It wasn't ideal, but it would have been a good amount of money just to get straight back home again. But before I got the answer to that, I got my job from Chepstow to Bertha come through, and I'm glad in the end I did do that, did go home, because it would have made tomorrow even really difficult. So I'm on my way to Shrewsbury. I was basically just going to pick up my load and then head down towards High Wycombe tonight, but I did luckily get a job ping up that was from Shrewsbury about 10 minutes before I got to my pickup. So I put a bid on. It was going actually to Cardiff. So if you think about a triangle, I was going to go from Shrewsbury to High Wycombe. That was the hypotenuse. I'm now going to go from Shrewsbury to Cardiff, and then tomorrow from Cardiff to High Wycombe. So we're sort of doing the two long sides of a triangle now. And the good thing is that it was a car job. I told them I was going to be co-loading it with my current load, never happy with that, because it was somebody who had broken down, and so it was quite an urgent job. Now I didn't know this when I put a bid in, and my bid was £1 a mile. So it was a car job, 110 miles, and I bid £110. And I got that job because obviously it was urgent because of the rain now. So I'm really pleased about that. That's going to make today a really good paying day. And my plan now is to get to Cardiff, hand this box over that I've got on the van, tramp out at Cardiff, and in the morning see if I can get anything that heads as a co-load from Cardiff towards High Wycombe. Or even London, I suppose. I can go past High Wycombe, go to London, come back to High Wycombe and offload. So I'm reasonably hopeful that I'll get a load from Cardiff, but if I don't get a load, I'll just mine it to High Wycombe and I've made my money. Because I'll tell you what I'm going to earn for this Shrewsbury job. So the Shrewsbury job I'm getting £190 for, 190. At the moment I'm not going to be delivering that until tomorrow morning, but with today's money and that, over the course of the 2 days, I don't need much more work to make my target. So I've got two opportunities to make the target: a job tomorrow morning from Cardiff to High Wycombe, or a job from High Wycombe back home on Friday. So I feel reasonably confident that in my 2 days I will get my target this week. Okay, so let me tell you my stats for today. These are, at the moment I'm travelling from Shrewsbury to Cardiff. I'm due to get to Cardiff about 9:30, 10:15 tonight. So I've assumed all that in my stats for today. So for today I will have worked 13 hours and 20 minutes. I will have driven 471 miles, 471 miles. The fuel has gone up recently, and my average fuel price this week is 14.97 pence per mile. Therefore, my fuel costs for today are £70 and 52 pence. When I've dropped off this load that I'm doing at the moment, which I will do, I have to do tonight, I will have made a gross amount of money of £350, 350. That's made up of the Sleaford to Bristol job, 175. That was a CX job. Then the CX job from Chepstow to Merthyr Tydfil, and that was for £65. And then the non-CX job, forget that, sorry. Then the CX job I'm doing right now from Shrewsbury to Cardiff, which is £110. Therefore, my earnings today after fuel are £279, 279, so over target. And tomorrow, I'm going to get from Cardiff to High Wycombe to home. I'm going to have £190 for that, plus whatever else I earn. So I should easily make my weekly target for 2 days' work. Okay, I'll leave that there. I've got something I want So accidentally turned on incognito. Don't know what that means. So my channel. So I have now got 108 subscribers. Excellent. 108. So it's gone up by 3 since I last looked at it. Thank you very much for all those people that have subscribed. I'm going to finish off my video with a little bit of a topic I want to talk about. It kind of ties up from when I talked about the law and how people do or don't obey the law. It kind of it's connected to that, but it's kind of moving it on forward a bit. I want to talk about the CX in a couple of ways. So the CX app is the one that I use wholly now for my work, other than getting jobs directly from a shipper. I have tried other apps, but by far and away I found the CX app to be by far and away the best app to get work. I won't go into all the ups and downs about the CX, but I will mention a couple of little things. One is, it's an example I think of my idea of framing the cost of the CX. When I joined, it was in the region of £1,600 a year, and I think it's now £125 a month, which is about the same sort of, I think it might be £1,800 a year now. And for someone like me who's joined in the last year, I joined 5 months ago, but probably the last year or so, the price of CX was, in the region of £1,600 thereabouts. And so I knew that was the price. So when I joined, I knew that was what it was. So, and I find that it's a reasonable price. It's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong, and you do have to plan for it. But it does get me my work. And I won't go into all the ups and downs of it, but just basically, I have found it a very useful app in the round to get myself work, and I am demonstrating with my YouTube videos what I'm earning off the CX, so you can see for yourself whether it's worth it or not. And it's worth it for me. But I can see that if you've been on the CX for 4, 5, 6, 8 years, it would have been a lot cheaper when you joined. And so, it now being double the price, you're going to think that's expensive because it's a lot more expensive than you're used to paying. And I think the CX has slightly undermined themselves in a way, because I think it makes some sense, they kept the price for sort of legacy users the same. So although they have to pay every year to maintain their membership, I think most people who have been paying sort of £800 or thereabouts are still paying that, or were until recently. And I think the reason why that's worked is because it rewards loyalty. So I can see why that is good for everyone. But it does set a bit of expectation that the price is £800. And then when the CX over time develops its services and wants to raise more money by increasing the cost, it then finds a backlash because these people who are historically using it, and I must say, if you've been doing it a long time, you tend to get your own customers, therefore don't use CX as much. So there comes a point at which legacy customers don't feel it's value for money for them. But it's because they've got a framing where £800 is the price of CX. Whereas for me, £800 is really cheap for CX. I'm not going to say I'd love to pay it. I'm happy paying £600. I'm happy paying a bit more because I framed it that's the price of CX for me. So I feel that if you're used to it being £800 or thereabouts, it's going to feel like a big increase, and you're going to not like that. You're going to resent it possibly. You're going to feel it's not worth value for money, because that's where you framed the cost for you. For people who are newer to it, or even haven't started yet, the current price is the current price, and that's what we framed it as being. That's what it's worth doing it for. And if it's not worth doing it, you're not going to join. So anyone who does join CX at this level, what 1600, 1800, by definition they feel it's worth it. Therefore, they framed it as being 1600 is a price that I'm willing to pay. So I think it's the same product, but different people have a different approach to whether it's worth it or not based on the framing of where they joined. And I just think, well, is it worth it for you or not? It's a simple question, really. Either you will use it or you won't use it. It is the price that it is. And for me, it's worth it, so I'll pay the price. And I might change my mind in the future. I might get my customers. It might get too expensive for me. You know, I might be one of those people in a few years' time going, well, I remember it being £600. It's way too expensive now. Anyway, so that wasn't the main point. So CX has its ups and downs, and I've talked a bit about the framing issue there. But the other thing, one of the things I think is not good about the CX is I think it's open to abuse by people who don't use it legitimately. And it's about people joining and then getting drivers who are not members of the CX to do work for them. And the shipper thinks it's a driver A, but actually it's driver B. And we don't know if driver B is insured or is competent or, you know, is honest, trustworthy, because they haven't gone through, albeit quite easy, hoops to go through to join the CX. And it's obvious to me that there is going to be people out there who have a certain moral standards, who will cut corners, who will do stuff on the cheap. And it might surprise you as to who I blame for that. I wouldn't do that, and I've explained through previous videos how I want to work. But I understand human nature. I understand that people do have different values and do treat their business in different ways. I just don't agree with them, but I'm not going to say you should all be like me. You should do what is right for you. So those people who can get away with it will get away with it. If you won't get caught, you'll cut the corners. Some people will cut the corners. And so what it comes down to is a lack of enforcement. In this particular case, the CX owners have an app which they're selling. And people who are legitimate will pay the price and obey the rules. The people that are not legitimate will cut corners and do it wrong, do it incorrectly. And they will undercut the other drivers who are paying the full costs. But they will keep doing it because there's no incentive to not do it. There is no enforcement from the CX on the system. As drivers, we see all the time misbehaviour, and if we report it to the CX, I don't think there's a lot of faith they'll do anything about it. So it's, in my mind, fully and squarely the responsibility of the CX developers to create a product that can't be circumvented. And if they don't do that, and they know it's going on, because they do know it's going on, I think they're undermining the better drivers, the drivers trying to do it legitimately. And I find that disappointing for it's a multi-million-pound company now, and it's a big part of the logistics industry, and they need to get their act together when it comes to enforcement of their own rules. So this ties back to me saying, in a previous video, if you're not going to get caught breaking the law, you probably break the law. If you're not going to get caught breaking the rules of the CX system, you're probably going to break the rules of the CX system. So the only body that can enforce those rules is the CX developers themselves. And I'm hoping in time that will happen. But yeah, so that's my opinion on those drivers that are undercutting other drivers. They shouldn't be able to do it. It shouldn't be possible. Okay, I think that's got that point across. Thank you very much for listening to my video, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. What have you learned?